Jason Varitek is obviously a huge part of the Boston Red Sox coaching staff right now, but how exactly did he make an impact in the legendary 2004 season? More on today's Locked On Red Sox.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Gabby, former ESPN social media associate and also currently the host of the Boston Balling podcast as well. And I am here to bring you the latest in all things Boston Red Sox, Monday through Friday, straight to your favorite podcast feed. And want to know the best part? It's free. Who doesn't love free? You have really nothing to lose by trying it out, right? Locked On is your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Welcome to another special edition of Locked On Red Sox. It is the 20th anniversary season of the 2004 Boston Red Sox and the legendary comeback to break the curse of the Bambino. And every Thursday for 10 weeks, I've been dropping episodes related to the 2004 team and just looking back at some of the key moments, key players on that team. And this is week 5 of the series, so we are halfway through. So be sure to continue to tune in on Thursdays for the next 5 weeks after this. And you won't want to miss next week's because next Thursday I have a special guest joining with me who was part of that team and can give some more insight into how things really were and how it was really possible for the Red Sox. So thank you for continuing to tune into my show. Make sure you tune into the series every Thursday, part of the 20th anniversary series of the 2004 Boston Red Sox. And we can't really talk about or think about the 2004 Boston Red Sox without thinking of Jason Varitek. Obviously, there are a million different things we can say about Tech that make him such a great leader, both on and off the field. On the field, he just was very knowledgeable about the game, one of the best catchers to ever play the game, and from a leadership standpoint, was able to help the other guys on the team make good in-game decisions. And off the field, he was just a great presence to have in the locker room. Somebody who had experience, was really passionate about playing baseball, and could help facilitate a lot of good positive attitudes when it came to the Red Sox and the season they had in 2004. And a baseball team is like a puzzle. You need all of your pieces performing in order to win the World Series. And the Red Sox needed to have everything fall into place for that season in order to win it all. And it certainly did. The cards all fell in order for the Red Sox and everything worked out well for them. But Jason Varitek was one of the biggest pieces of that team. And he was just a huge asset and one of the biggest reasons why the Red Sox won it all that year. So he started his career when he was drafted 21st overall in the first round by the Twins in 1993. But ended up opting to return for his senior year of college instead. So his name was already out there because he had been drafted. We knew he was going to likely have a career at that point. Following his college graduation, he then signed with agent Scott Boras and was drafted by the Mariners in the first round of the 1994 amateur draft with the 14th pick overall. And then with just some loopholes in the draft process, he signed with the St. Paul Saints in the Independent Northern League before agreeing to terms with the Mariners and consequently did not enter the Mariners minor league system until 1995. When he finally did join the franchise, he was sent to the Double-A affiliate Port City Roosters, where he actually first met pitcher and longtime teammate Derek Lowe. He was traded with Lowe to the Red Sox during the 1997 season in return for reliever Heathcliff Slocum, often cited as one of the best trades in the Red Sox's favor in recent history, which, as you could imagine, still is true to this day. So then in 1997, Varitek was called up for a single game on September 24th, collecting a single in his only at-bat. During the 1998 season, he split time with incumbent catcher Scott Hatteberg, playing in 86 games. Varitek showed signs of things to come in the season, and with a strong spring training the following season, Varitek then earned the starting catcher position. So lots of roller coasters for him early on in his career, but he was able to persist. And I really liked the fact that he wanted to go back and finish college before being drafted again. Obviously, that comes with some risks for any player, because if you get drafted before you finish college or out of high school, you take risks that you might not make it to the big league level. And you have to be really sure and really confident that that's a possibility, because if you end up going that route and then you don't make it, then you might have to go back to school or figure out what your plan is after baseball. But on the flip side of that, somebody could get drafted out of high school or partway through college, and then they could decide that they don't want to go into the major league system right away, and they want to go back and finish school first. So if you turn down that opportunity, you might not get the opportunity again, because you're not guaranteed to get drafted again. So I liked that Varitek took the chance on himself, decided to go back and finish school, and then came back and was able to get drafted again. So his hard work really starting to pay off in 1999. That was a breakout season for him. Varitek played in 144 games that year, hitting for a .269 average with 20 home runs and 76 RBIs. Varitek went 5 for 21 with 3 RBIs in the 1999 ALDS against the Indians, and 4 and 20 with 1 RBI in the ALCS against the Yankees. During the ALDS, he set a postseason record by scoring 5 runs in a single game. So people started to know at that point that there was something potentially special about him. So he ended up fueling on that fire and continuing his success later on after that. But he needed that 1999 season to really build on the success that he thought that he had before he continued the rest of his career. So then he was looking forward to building more success from the year before, but the 2000 season ended up being a disappointment offensively when he produced a .248 average with only 10 home runs and 65 RBIs, as the Red Sox failed to qualify for postseason play. Prior to the 2001 season, Varitek signed a 3-year, $14.9 million contract with Boston. He then went on a hitting hot streak, having a .310 average at one point, and on May 20th, 2001, he homered 3 times in a single game before a broken left elbow injury sidelined the catcher for nearly the rest of the season, as he dove to catch a foul ball on June 7th. The play went on to be a top web gem for the month of July 2001, but he finished the season with a .293 average, 7 home runs, and 25 RBIs in 51 games played. So that was a rough couple season stretch for him, because he had underwhelmed in 2000 and then goes into the 2001 season obviously hoping to make up for that, and then he ends up getting injured for a lot of that season, so he doesn't have the chance then to make up for what had happened in the season before that. And that's one of the biggest struggles about being a Major League Baseball player, is if you don't perform and then you go a long period of time without playing again, everybody has a sour taste in their mouth, because you don't get to make up for that for a long time. So mentally, that probably took a toll on him too, because he was sitting there wanting to go back out there and play and make up for his prior season, but then he ends up getting this injury, and obviously the way he got injured was super unfortunate because he just made an incredible catch, and it just goes to show how much he put his heart and soul into the game of baseball. But it has to be demoralizing for him that he ended up having to miss a lot of that season, even though he was at a point where he felt like he needed to play and needed to make it up from the season prior. So that's baseball, but there's always ups and downs. And coming up, I'm going to be talking about what led to his 2004 season and why he really made a big difference for the Red Sox. If you want to get into playing fantasy sports, you should head to PrizePicks right now. PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 5 million members. It is the most fun, exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. You just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. The finals mean more on PrizePicks, and so do the star players. You get boosted payouts on select basketball stars that you won't find anywhere else. You can now win up to 100 times your money with baseball-only lineups on PrizePicks. If you submit a winning lineup featuring 4 demon squares, you'll cash in big time on the biggest moments of baseball's early season. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's a first deposit match up to $100 if you download PrizePicks today and use code LOCKEDONMLB. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. It's PrizePicks. You really will not be disappointed in it, and if you're interested in winning money, I mean, it's a place for you for sure. Also, check out Locked On Sports Today. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't miss analysis, opinions, and news. Streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Locked On Sports Today really does have you covered to stay caught up in all things going on in sports, so make sure you check that out today. I am here on Locked On Red Sox on the 5th edition of the 20th anniversary special series to commemorate the 2004 Boston Red Sox team that went on to win the World Series and break a curse that had been in place for a very long time. And one of the biggest things about that run was just how close-knit that team was and how determined they were to win a championship. And you need absolute dogs in the clubhouse who want to win in order to get your team far. And the Red Sox had plenty of players like that who just had the desire to win and loved playing baseball. And Jason Varitek was certainly a player who was like that for the Boston Red Sox. And although he faced some obstacles in the earlier years of his career, he was able to contribute to this Boston Red Sox team in ways that served as an absolute game changer. So after a 2001 season in which he missed a lot of the season due to an injury, he returned to the Red Sox lineup full-time in 2002. His return did not go smoothly, though, as he struggled to find himself at the plate. That primarily had to do most likely with the fact that he had been out of the game for a while and he needed to find his flow again. A lot of times you do find that even to this day. If a player experiences an injury and they miss a lot of time, it's hard sometimes for them to come back and make up what they had previously. So he definitely struggled to get back into it. Despite not reaching his full offensive potential, though, pitchers and coaches alike began to notice how much Varitek's preparation and knowledge of the game was helping the pitchers. His study habits and extra hours of work with pitchers ended up becoming his defining attribute. So that's why he was so special, because Yes, he didn't put up the best offensive numbers at the time, but his effect was still insurmountable because the best catchers are ones that elevate their pitchers and make them better. He just continued to work with a lot of dedication to make the pitchers better. And the way that he was able to instill his genuine knowledge of the baseball game on those guys that were taking the mound every day allowed his team as a whole to be lifted up. And that's why the best pitchers are attracted to teams that have catchers like that. I mean, a lot of pitchers wanted to pitch for the Boston Red Sox at the time because they wanted Varitek to be behind the dish for them. And who wouldn't? I mean, he's one of the best catchers of all time, and his attitude and dedication to the game only amplified that. So he drew a lot of pitchers just because of the fact that he was able to really work with them and hone in on their strengths and make them better and more comfortable on the mound. So Varitek and the Red Sox entered the 2003 season with a renewed fire to reach the playoffs after missing it in the previous 3 years. Varitek instantly became a leader in the clubhouse, which management tried to portray as working class, featuring new faces such as Kevin Millar, David Ortiz, Bill Miller, and Todd Walker, along with OG players Trot Nixon and Lou Merlone. So lots of familiar and new faces at the time in that clubhouse, but lots of what would end up being legends. And that's a lot of guys with a lot of personalities, but Varitek was able to instantly become the glue of that team, leading them all in the clubhouse when things went south, when things went north, and was able to really put his heart into it and show these guys that we all need to work together if we want to win. And that's what instantly made players want him to be around, is because of the fact that he was able to get everybody to stay together in that clubhouse and work towards a common goal. The 2003 season was his best to date, and he earned his first All-Star selection after the fans voted him in with the All-Star final vote. He was hitting .296 with 15 home runs and 51 RBIs going into the All-Star break, and he ended up finishing the season off with a solid .273 average, 25 home runs, and 85 RBIs, all career highs. The Red Sox earned a wild card berth and their first playoff appearance since 1999, before, unfortunately, that infamous series when they lost in the ALCS to the Yankees. But that was the perfect time for Varitek to step up as a leader, because he was also stepping up on the field. He had a really strong season offensively, especially, and if his game on the field was being elevated at that time, it only makes sense that he would also be elevating his leadership skills at the same time. So he was constantly just elevating and moving in a positive direction and really making a name for himself among the Red Sox and the Major League Baseball community. Lots of people definitely took notice and desired for Jason Varitek to be playing for them. And who wouldn't at the time want a player like that, who was so dedicated to Boston, dedicated to wanting to continue to get better and wanting to see his teammates succeed, as well as the overall team as a whole, and seeing them reach their goals at the end of the season. So 2003 was a big season for Varitek, even though the results wasn't what the Red Sox as a team wanted out of the season. It was still a promising year for him because of the fact that he was able to look back on it and could say that was the year that I really fueled what I had in me to help this team make a run in 2004. Had he not become the leader he did in 2003, and had his batting stats not been what they were in 2003, he very much would probably not have had that same confidence that he had in 2004. And who knows what the Red Sox would have done. Obviously, you don't know what would have happened if any circumstances were different, but they might not have won the whole thing that year because they might not have had that glue, that fire in the clubhouse that they needed to stay on track and stay focused. And to them and to that team, Jason Varitek was looked at as that guy who could be out there and say, I'm going to give it 100% no matter what. And these guys that I have around me in the clubhouse, I know will also want to give it 100%. And that's what makes Varitek as special as he is. And that's why he's still so heavily involved in Major League Baseball to this day now, is because of the fact that he set his sights set on playing baseball the right way and winning with his team, for his team, putting them first and focusing on the camaraderie that comes with a championship caliber team. So there's a lot of credit given to Jason Varitek for what the Red Sox did. And even though they fell short against the Yankees in 2003, they gained that key postseason experience that most of these guys had not gotten together yet, since they had missed out on the playoffs for a few years. So being able to have that playoff experience with this group of guys together was absolutely key for Varitek and his teammates, and it ended up resulting in a 2004 season that was just absolutely legendary. So coming up, the moment you've been waiting for, I'm going to be touching on the season that Varitek had in 2004, something that made him really famous that year and is still talked about to this day, and the effect it had on the Boston Red Sox moving forward. If you're looking to score last-minute tickets at reasonable prices, look no further than Game Time, a ticket servicing app that lets you see the view from your seat before you purchase your tickets, so you don't have to stress about whether you don't like your seat or you're getting a bad view. It's great. Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch, whereas with a lot of ticket vendors, the prices go up. I've used it multiple times for baseball games, basketball playoff games, concerts. It really is a great service for tickets at reasonable prices. And whenever I use it, I see that it's cheaper than other ticketing vendors. So I'm a huge fan of Game Time. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB, LOCKEDONMLB, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. I promise you they will give you the lowest price, speaking from personal experience and noticing it. It is a great way to get tickets. Also, just a reminder to check out Locked On Sports today, as we have launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and it's also available on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channels app, so you can be sure that you're staying caught up in all things going on in sports without having to rely on scrolling through Twitter constantly and having to just take all of this time in your day to stay caught up in what's going on. So no matter what time zone you're in, Locked On Sports Today will provide you with the latest that you need. I'm talking about the 2004 Boston Red Sox team, what made them so special, what the difference makers were in terms of leading to them winning the whole thing that year. And a key piece to the puzzle in 2004 was Jason Varitek, the team's starting catcher and clubhouse leader, who really was the glue of that team and provided so much value for the Red Sox. So this team had a sour taste in their mouths after 2003. They lost to the Yankees in the ALCS, and then they were depressed and did not want to have that happen again, especially losing against your rival. And at the time, the Red Sox-Yankees rivalry was so much more heated. So obviously, losing to your biggest rival in any sport is just terrible. But this really bothered these guys. They did not like losing. They were just a bunch of hungry guys determined to win. And that's exactly what they did in 2004. So the Red Sox went into the 2004 season very hungry, and Varitek was also very hungry. He compiled a career-high .296 batting average with 18 home runs and 73 RBIs. So he was having a great season, and midway through the season, an iconic moment happened during a nationally televised game on July 24th. He is known for the brawl. So essentially how it went down was Red Sox pitcher Bronson Arroyo drilled Alex Rodriguez with a fastball. So Rodriguez got mad, and then Jason Varitek confronted him, shoving his glove in Rodriguez's face to set off this wild benches clearing brawl. And it was so intense because so many players got involved. And it just truly is an iconic symbol of the storied rivalry. There's an image of just Varitek in A-Rod's face with his glove throwing punches, and it will forever go down in history as an iconic moment. And it just goes to show, for one, how much the two teams really could not stand each other back then. I miss those days because now I feel like the rivalry just isn't nearly as intense. And for two, it shows what Jason Varitek was willing to do for a pitcher and how many great lengths he was willing to go to, because this will never be forgotten. He went face to face with A-Rod, and they were yelling at each other, and basically A-Rod said, "Throw that over the plate," and Tech says, "Hey dude, we don't hit 260 hitters." And that's when they just got super mad at each other. And little did they know that they actually would be teammates 2 years later on Team USA in the 2006 World Baseball Classic. But Jason Varitek had his moment then, iconic moment in baseball and especially Red Sox history. And it just goes back to, again, what he was willing to do for his teammates. So that incident happened. He ended up being ejected from the game along with A-Rod following the incident. And the Red Sox were just spurred on by the fight and came from behind to win that game 11-10. And that, honestly, a lot of times is looked at as the turning point in the Red Sox season, because that sparked a fire in this team. They posted MLB's best record after that. Boston culminated the season with its first World Series championship in 86 years after being the first team to overcome that 3-0 deficit, doing so in the ALCS against the Yankees. Varitek went 3 for 4 in the crucial Game 6, which is known as the Bloody Sock game of the ALCS, which Boston won 4-2. So Varitek arguably sparked the turning point for the Red Sox. And honestly, as much as fights are entertaining, they really are not encouraged in baseball and don't happen nearly as much anymore. But that you could look at as, if it didn't happen, would the Red Sox have had the motivation that they did to go out and win the whole thing? And I'm not saying this team wasn't motivated. The Red Sox obviously are a very motivated team and have always just been a franchise that is known for winning. And in that year, that team was specifically hungry, but they played so much good baseball in the second half. And this was right along the time that they were struggling. So I'm sure when that brawl took place, it also was just a variety of emotions piling up and frustration from the season that they were having, and they wanted to try to come back and make up for lost time that they had earlier on in the season when they weren't playing well. So they came back, went on an absolute tear, and won the World Series. And then at the end of the year, Varitek became a free agent and signed a 4-year, $40 million contract with the team. After his re-signing, the Red Sox appointed him team captain, only the 4th Red Sox player so honored since 1923, following Hall of Famers Jimmy Fox, who was captain from 1940 to 42, Carl Yastrzemski in 1966 and from 1969 to 1983, and Jim Rice from 1986 to 1989. At the time, Varitek was one of just 3 captains in MLB. The others were Derek Jeter of the Yankees and Paul Konerko of the White Sox. Varitek remained captain until his retirement before the 2012 season. He always wore a C patch on his uniform, making him the first player to do so in a World Series. So he obviously meant a lot to the Boston Red Sox and its community. In 2005, he won his first Gold Glove, his first Silver Slugger, and got his second All-Star selection. And in 2006, he represented the U.S. in the World Baseball Classic, playing in 3 games. He definitely made the most of his playing time then, hitting a grand slam against Team Canada, allowing Team USA to narrow an 8-2 lead down to 8-6. Team Canada, though, kept the lead in the upset victory, but he had a great time playing in that. Great experience for him playing against other teams internationally and just getting a great experience that way. And then on July 18th, 2006, he played his 991st game at catcher for the Red Sox, breaking Carlton Fisk's club record. That game was a home game versus Kansas City, during which Varitek's achievement was recognized before the bottom of the 5th inning. He received a standing ovation from the sellout crowd at Fenway Park for a few moments before play resumed. On July 31st, 2006, he was injured rounding the bases in a 9-8 victory over the Indians, which was his 1,000th career game at catcher, but said he believed the initial injury to the knee occurred while he was blocking home plates to make the tag against Angels' Mike Napoli on July 29th, 2006. He ended up having surgery on August 3rd, 2006, to repair torn cartilage in his left knee and returned to the Red Sox lineup on September 4th following a short rehab assignment in Pawtucket, which at the time was the Red Sox AAA affiliate. So lots to be proud of over Jason Varitek's career. I mean, 3-time All-Star in 2003, 2005, and 2008, 2-time World Series champion in 2004 and 2007, Gold Glover in 2005, Silver Slugger in 2005, Golden Spikes Award in 1994, Dick Howser Trophy in 2004, and in the Boston Red Sox Hall of Fame. So lots of accomplishments for him. He was a player from 1997 to 2011 and has been coaching with the Boston Red Sox now since 2021. So everything's been Boston for him. He has the true heart and soul to be part of the Boston Red Sox community, and having him on the Red Sox bench as a coach is huge. This is a guy who knows what it takes to win and has seen a lot of talent in the baseball world, and having somebody who's won 2 World Series championships with the Boston Red Sox is great for this current crop of players because he can help mentor them, give them advice on getting through the tough times and pushing through obstacles to get to where you want to be and reach your goal at the end of the year, which is obviously always to win a World Series. So having him around, first of all, his knowledge of the game and the perspective he can provide to some of these players. Second of all, working with the catchers in Connor Wong and Reese McGuire, getting them to elevate their games. And third, being able to just have that passion for being in Boston and just how much he loves Boston is an absolute game changer for this Red Sox team. So I'm hoping he sticks around and is with the Boston Red Sox coaching staff in the long term, because he's just a great face to have around the clubhouse. And a lot of times off-field leadership isn't talked about enough when you're talking about a player, and he might not have had the best stats on the team for the Boston Red Sox during that 2004 run, but he certainly did provide a ton of value just as the captain, having that designation, wearing that C, and feeling like he could represent the team after 2004 in that way, and just really going off as just not even being an official captain in his earlier years in Boston, but just being that leader that a captain should be. So he epitomized and represented everything of a true Boston Red Sox player and just played the game with so much integrity. So huge part of that championship run, and is still well admired by the entire Boston Red Sox community to this day. So as a reminder, continue to tune in every Thursday for the next 5 weeks after this, as I will be commemorating and remembering the 2004 Boston Red Sox team in honor of the 20th anniversary being this year. As always, keep the faith, go Red Sox, and I will catch you on the flip side.